The final goodbye, a dog's last wish to be with his best friend. The small, fragile dog curled up on the worn-out blanket, her body trembling from both age and the undeniable sense of finality that filled the room. It was hard to believe that just a few years ago, she was running through fields with a vigor that made everyone smile. Now, the only thing she had left to give was her love, and that love was all her best friend had to hold on to. Their journey together was about to come to an end, but not before one last promise was made. I will be with you until the very end. She had always been there by his side through every milestone, every moment of joy, and every sorrow. Her name was Bella, and to Tom, she wasn't just a dog. She was family, the silent companion who never judged, never questioned, and always stayed close, offering her unwavering loyalty. In their small house, filled with memories of a life lived together, Bella had become more than just a pet. She had become his anchor, his reason to keep going when everything seemed to fall apart. It hadn't always been this way. When Tom first brought Bella home from the shelter, she was nothing more than a scared, shaking ball of fur. She had been abandoned, neglected, and left to fend for herself in the harshest of conditions. But something about her large, soulful eyes, the way she looked at him as though asking for a second chance, made Tom unable to walk away. The shelter workers had told him that Bella had been found on the side of the road, covered in dirt and bruises, a stray who had clearly been through far too much for a dog so young. Tom had his own demons, his own battles with loneliness and pain, but in Bella, he saw a reflection of himself. They were both lost souls, yearning for connection, and so he made the decision. He took her home, not knowing that in saving her, he would also be saving himself. In the beginning, it was slow. Bella was cautious, hesitant to trust anyone, especially after the betrayal she had experienced from those who were supposed to care for her. But as the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, something shifted. Bella started to learn what love really meant. She learned that food would always be there, that she could sleep in a warm bed every night, that Tom would be there, not just for a while, but forever. As Bella grew more comfortable, Tom began to notice how deeply connected they had become. She would follow him everywhere, never letting him out of her sight. When he sat down at night to read or watch TV, Bella would curl up beside him, her head resting on his lap, as if she understood that her presence alone was enough to fill the silence. Years passed, and their bond only grew stronger. They had become inseparable, each other's constant companion. Tom's life, which had once been full of uncertainty and heartbreak, was now filled with joy, because Bella had brought a light into his world that he never thought he'd find again. But time, as it always does, marched on. Tom began to notice subtle changes in Bella. She wasn't as spry as she once had been. Her playful barks had turned into quiet whimpers, and her once bright eyes were now clouded with age. Tom knew what was happening, though he refused to say it aloud. He didn't want to face the reality that the dog he had loved so fiercely was beginning to slip away from him. It wasn't until one cold evening, when Bella had trouble climbing onto the couch beside him, that Tom finally admitted what he had been dreading. He took her to the vet the next day, and the words they had both feared were confirmed. Bella's health was rapidly declining. She was old now, and her body was giving out on her. There was nothing the vet could do. She's had a good life, the vet had said, as gently as possible. But it's clear that her time is nearing. Tom couldn't hold back the tears as he stroked Bella's fur. It was as though the weight of all the years of love and companionship was crashing down on him. How could he possibly let go of the one thing that had given him everything?
The days that followed were filled with quiet moments. Tom tried to make Bella as comfortable as he could, holding her, speaking to her softly, as if his words could somehow slow the inevitable. The house, once full of laughter and life, now felt unbearably still, the air thick with the understanding that time was running out. And then, one evening, as the sun began to set and the sky turned a soft pink, Bella did something that took Tom by surprise. She walked slowly over to the window, her steps hesitant, her breathing labored. She sat down, staring out at the horizon, as though she could sense that the end was near. Tom, sensing that this might be the moment he had been dreading, walked over and sat beside her. He didn't speak at first. There were no words to say. He simply sat there, holding her gently, his face buried in her fur. The world seemed to pause around them, the silence broken only by the rhythmic sound of Bella's breathing. In that moment, Tom realized something he hadn't truly understood before. Bella wasn't just his dog. She wasn't just his companion. She was a part of him. She had been there through every high and every low, always by his side, loving him without condition. And now, as she neared the end of her life, it was his turn to give her the same kind of love, the kind that didn't ask for anything in return, the kind that said goodbye without regret. "I'm here, Bella," he whispered, his voice cracking. "I'll always be here. And I'll love you forever." Bella lifted her head slightly, her tired eyes meeting his. It was as though she understood. She didn't need anything more than his presence, the comfort of knowing she was loved. And for a moment, as she rested her head on his lap, Tom could almost believe that she was telling him it was time to let go, that she was ready for her final journey. That night, as the stars began to twinkle in the sky above, Bella closed her eyes for the last time, her body finally at peace. Tom held her until the very end, refusing to leave her side, even in her final moments. He knew that the greatest gift he could give her was the one she had given him all those years ago: love, unwavering and unconditional. In the days that followed, the house felt empty without her, the silence a constant reminder of what he had lost. But there was a quiet comfort in knowing that he had kept his promise to Bella. He had been there, every step of the way, and he had loved her until the very end. Tom sat by the window for hours after she was gone, remembering the days when Bella had been by his side, her tail wagging in excitement at every new adventure. Those memories, filled with laughter and joy, would stay with him forever. And as he gazed out into the horizon, he whispered one final promise, one that he would carry with him for the rest of his life. "I will always love you, Bella. Forever and always." And with that, Tom knew that though Bella was no longer physically with him, she would always be a part of him, living on in his heart, as constant as the love she had given him all those years.